Luke's decision to stay with Princess Alara and her people brought him a deep sense of peace and happiness. Days turned into weeks, and he fully immersed himself in the life of the palace, learning more about the alien culture and teaching them about Earth in return. Alara and Luke worked closely together, bringing new ideas and strengthening ties between their people. Their friendship continued to deepen, built on trust and respect. Luke found himself admiring Alara more with each passing day, not just as a wise leader, but as a close friend who understood him deeply. One afternoon, a message arrived from the starship Aurora, Luke's original home. It explained that a team was coming to check on him and possibly bring him back. Luke felt anxious about their arrival, unsure how they would respond to his decision to stay. Alara noticed Luke's concern immediately. "You look worried," she said, gently, sitting beside him in a quiet room. Luke sighed deeply. "I am. My people are coming. They'll expect me to return with them, but my place feels like it's here now." Alara smiled warmly, placing a comforting hand on his arm. "Then you must explain your decision clearly. If they care for you, they'll understand." Luke nodded, encouraged by her support. "I hope you're right." The next day, the Aurora team arrived. At the palace, Luke greeted them warmly, glad to see familiar faces. Captain Lauren Simmons stepped forward, smiling but clearly curious about Luke's situation. "Luke," Lauren said kindly, "we've been worried about you. Are you ready to come home?" Luke took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts carefully. "Captain Simmons, I've decided to stay here. This place has become my home now, and these people, especially Princess Alara, mean so much to me." Captain Simmons looked surprised, but also understanding. "Are you certain, Luke? This is a big decision." Luke nodded firmly. "Yes, Captain. I've never felt more sure." Captain Simmons glanced thoughtfully at Princess Alara, who stood quietly beside Luke. Alara smiled gently, her expression calm and welcoming. "Then I respect your decision," Lauren finally said warmly. "I'm glad you found a place that feels right for you. We'll stay in touch and visit often." Relief flooded through Luke, and he thanked Captain Simmons sincerely. The Aurora team spent the day learning about Alara's people, impressed by the culture and friendship they witnessed. Before departing, Captain Simmons hugged Luke warmly. "Take care of yourself, Luke," she said affectionately. "You've made a good choice." Luke watched them leave, feeling both sadness and relief. He knew his decision was right, but still felt the weight of saying goodbye to his past. That evening, Luke and Alara stood together on the palace balcony, gazing up at the stars. The night sky seemed brighter, filled with possibilities for their shared future. "Are you happy with your choice, Luke?" Alara asked softly. Luke turned to her, smiling warmly. "I've never felt happier or more certain. This is where I belong." Alara's eyes sparkled gently. "Your courage and kindness have changed our lives. I am truly grateful you chose to stay." Luke reached out, taking Alara's hand gently in his own. Her violet skin was warm and comforting. "Your friendship has given me strength and purpose. Alara, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else." They stood quietly together, feeling a deep connection as they watched the stars. Luke knew his life had changed forever, in ways he had never imagined when he first arrived unexpectedly. In the weeks and months that followed, Luke and Alara continued their work, bringing peace and progress to her people. The palace and city flourished, stronger than ever before. Luke remained close to Captain Simmons and the Aurora, maintaining a bridge between his new home and Earth. As their bond grew stronger, Luke and Alara's friendship became widely admired by both her people and his own. Many considered their alliance a symbol of unity and hope, a clear sign that different worlds could come together in peace. One clear evening, under the gentle light of 1,000 stars, Luke stood beside Alara in the palace gardens, surrounded by those who had come to mean so much to him. Alara turned to face him, her eyes soft and sincere. "Luke, your courage and heart have brought us closer together. You have shown us the power of friendship and trust," she said gently. "We are forever grateful." Luke smiled warmly, his heart full of joy. It's you who have taught me the true meaning of friendship, Alara. Together, we can face anything. As cheers of agreement filled the air, Luke felt a deep sense of belonging. He knew his life would continue to be full of challenges, but with Alara and her people by his side, he felt ready for whatever the future might hold. Their shared journey was just beginning, filled with endless possibilities and the promise of a brighter future. With the threat finally contained, Luke Daniels felt a deep sense of relief. Life within the palace gradually returned to a peaceful routine. Still, he knew his presence was changing things not only in the palace, but in his own heart as well. Princess Alara often spent time talking with Luke, sharing stories about her people and their history. He found himself looking forward to these quiet moments. Their conversations were comforting and honest, building an even stronger bond of trust between them. One afternoon, Alara invited Luke to walk with her in the palace gardens again. They walked slowly among colorful plants that seemed to glow softly in the sunlight. Luke enjoyed the peacefulness of the garden, feeling at ease beside Alara. Your people's home sounds wonderful, Alara said gently, glancing at Luke thoughtfully. Tell me more about Earth. Luke smiled, thinking of his distant home. Earth is beautiful, with blue oceans, tall mountains, and vast forests. People there come from many cultures, each with their own stories and traditions. Alara listened closely, clearly fascinated. Do you miss it? I do, Luke admitted quietly. But being here with your people has taught me so much. I've come to care deeply about this place and everyone I've met. Alara smiled softly, her eyes warm. We are fortunate you came to us, Luke. Your courage and kindness have made a real difference here. Luke felt a warmth rising in his chest, grateful for her kind words. It was your trust that made everything possible. As they continued their walk, Alara became quiet and thoughtful. Luke sensed something was on her mind. Is everything all right? He asked gently. Alara paused, looking deeply into his eyes. Luke, soon you will have to decide whether to stay or return home. I realize the choice may be difficult. Luke stopped, his heart suddenly heavy. He had been avoiding thoughts about leaving. I haven't fully decided yet, he admitted softly. Alara nodded understandingly. Whatever you choose, you must know that you will always be welcome here. You have become a true friend to me and my people. Luke smiled warmly, comforted by her words. I promise, no matter what happens, I'll always carry your friendship with me. Later that evening, Luke sat quietly in his room, staring out at the alien stars glowing gently in the night sky. He thought deeply about his time here, remembering all he had learned and the friendships he had made. The decision felt difficult, weighing heavily on his heart. A gentle knock on his door pulled him from his thoughts. He opened it to see Aria, who smiled kindly. Princess Alara wanted me to give you this, she said, handing him a small, beautifully carved crystal. What is it? Luke asked, examining the shimmering object. A token of appreciation and friendship, Aria explained gently. It's also a communicator, allowing you to contact us wherever you go. Luke felt touched by the thoughtful gift. Please, thank the princess for me, he said sincerely. Aria smiled warmly. She truly values your presence here, Luke. She hopes you know that. After Aria left, Luke sat down, holding the crystal gently in his hands. He felt deeply moved, realizing just how important his relationships here had become. The choice before him now seemed clearer. He knew he needed to speak with Alara again. Early the next morning, Luke found Alara standing quietly on a palace balcony, watching the sunrise. The colors painted the sky beautifully, casting a gentle glow over everything. Princess, Luke began softly, stepping forward to join her. I've thought carefully about my decision. Alara turned, her eyes calm and patient. Tell me, she encouraged gently. Luke took a deep breath, looking earnestly into her eyes. I want to stay at least for now. This place, your people, and especially you have become very important to me. Alara's eyes brightened with joy and relief. She smiled warmly, clearly pleased by his decision. "I'm so glad to hear that, Luke. Your presence here makes us stronger." Luke smiled back, feeling peace fill his heart. "This decision feels right. There's still so much we can accomplish together." Alara nodded thoughtfully. "Indeed, there is. And having you here fills me with hope for the future." They stood quietly together, watching the rising sun slowly warm the world around them. Luke felt certain about his choice, knowing that staying was the right path for now. Beside Alara, he believed anything was possible. In that quiet moment, Luke understood the true meaning of friendship and trust. No matter what the future held, he knew he had found a place where he belonged. Following the confrontation during the festival, Princess Alara and Luke Daniels became closer allies. Trust between them deepened, and palace inhabitants now viewed Luke with greater respect and admiration. He had proven himself loyal and brave, winning the acceptance he had sought since his unexpected arrival. Still, Alara felt uneasy. Despite successfully capturing the traitors, she knew the threat to her leadership wasn't entirely gone. One morning, she summoned Luke to a private meeting. In a secluded chamber, he found her standing near a window, her eyes thoughtfully looking out over the beautiful city below. "Luke," Alara began softly as he entered, turning slowly to face him. "Though we dealt with immediate threats, my advisors believe there may be more conspirators hidden in the shadows." Luke nodded, listening carefully. "How can I help?" Alara gave a gentle smile, clearly comforted by his unwavering support. "I want you to help me investigate further. You have shown skill at noticing small details others miss." "Of course, Luke," said firmly. "Where do we begin?" Alara stepped closer, lowering her voice slightly. "My trusted advisor, Aria, will guide you. She suspects some of the conspirators received outside help. If true, we must discover who is behind this." Luke understood immediately. "I will meet with Aria today. We'll uncover the truth." Later that day, Luke joined Aria, a wise and gentle older alien who greeted him warmly. She led him to the palace archives, a large, quiet place filled with ancient scrolls and glowing holographic records. "If there are answers, Luke, they might be hidden here," Aria explained, guiding him carefully through the records. "We need to examine communications and movements of anyone who acted suspiciously." Luke spent long hours carefully reviewing holograms and written records. He noted any odd or unexplained messages. It was tiring work, yet Luke felt energized by the importance of the task. After many hours, Luke discovered something significant. A series of encrypted messages had been exchanged between certain palace members and an unknown source outside the city. Excited by the discovery, Luke quickly showed Aria the evidence. "This is very troubling," Aria murmured thoughtfully, examining the records closely. "These messages suggest our traitors were guided by someone beyond our borders. We must inform Princess Alara immediately." They swiftly went to Alara, who listened closely as Luke and Aria explained their findings. Her expression grew tense, understanding the seriousness of the situation. "Do these messages say anything specific about their plans?" Alara asked urgently. Luke nodded. "They mentioned meeting at a hidden location outside the city." "I think we should investigate." Alara hesitated briefly, concerned for Luke's safety. "This could be dangerous." "I know," Luke responded firmly, determined. "But it's the best way to uncover the truth." Seeing his resolve, Alara finally agreed. Arranging a small team of trusted guards to accompany Luke and Aria, they left quietly, traveling cautiously beyond the city to the location described in the messages. Upon reaching the hidden place, a cave surrounded by dense trees, Luke felt his pulse quicken. Quietly, they entered, moving carefully through the dark tunnels. Voices echoed softly ahead, signaling that they had indeed found the conspirators. "Hideout." Luke signaled the guards to remain hidden as he crept closer to listen. The conspirators spoke about plans to destabilize Alara's rule with external help, confirming Luke's suspicions. He carefully recorded their conversation, knowing the importance of this evidence. Suddenly, Luke accidentally kicked a loose stone, alerting the conspirators. Voices rose sharply in alarm, and footsteps rapidly approached. Luke quickly retreated, urging Arya and the guards to prepare. The conspirators emerged from the cave, surprised but prepared to fight. A tense struggle erupted between the conspirators and Alara's guards. Luke, determined to help, managed to avoid harm and assisted Arya to safety. Finally, the conspirators surrendered, realizing their plot had been exposed. Exhausted but relieved, Luke and Arya returned to the palace, bringing the prisoners and crucial evidence with them. Alara met them immediately upon their return, deeply relieved yet concerned for Luke's safety. "You've done well, Luke," she praised. "Sincerely, once again your bravery protected us all." Luke smiled modestly. "I'm just glad we were able to stop them before things got worse." Alara nodded gratefully, her eyes full of admiration. "Your courage has secured our safety. My people owe you a great debt." Luke felt warmth fill his heart, knowing his actions had made a true difference. "I'm proud to help Princess Alara. Your people deserve peace and security." Alara stepped closer, smiling warmly. "Thanks to your bravery, Luke, that peace is now within our grasp. Together, we can face whatever challenges lie ahead." As Luke met her gaze, he knew that their bond, forged through trust and loyalty, would guide them through any future trials they might face. In the following days, Luke Daniels began to feel more comfortable within the alien palace. The initial tension eased slowly as the palace inhabitants grew used to seeing him around. However, he remained cautious, recalling Princess Alara's warnings. Clearly, every morning, Luke spent time learning about Alara's people. He found their customs fascinating and admired how deeply they valued trust and honor. Luke's efforts to understand their way of life earned him respect and kindness from many in the palace. Yet others still watched him suspiciously. One afternoon, while wandering through the quiet palace halls, Luke heard muffled voices arguing fiercely from behind the closed door. Intrigued, he stopped to listen more closely. "We must act soon. The princess places too much trust in the human." One voice growled angrily. Another responded, quieter but no less firm. "Patience. If we act rashly, we'll lose everything. Wait until the right moment." Luke felt his heart race. He knew immediately that he had overheard something dangerous, a plot against Alara. Quickly, he stepped away, making sure no one had noticed him. He hurried back toward Alara's chambers, feeling a sense of urgency. When Luke arrived, he found Alara quietly reading a holographic screen, her face calm and relaxed. She looked up, smiling briefly when she saw him. But her smile vanished quickly as she noticed the worry on his face. "What's wrong, Luke?" she asked, standing swiftly. "Princess, I overheard something serious," Luke explained urgently, keeping his voice low. "There are people in your palace plotting against you. They spoke of waiting for the right moment to act." Alara's eyes grew sharp, her expression immediately tense. "Who were they? Did you recognize their voices?" Luke shook his head regretfully. "No, but they spoke as though they had influence. They don't trust you because you trust me." Alara sighed deeply, clearly disturbed by the news. "This isn't entirely unexpected. I sense growing tension among certain groups in the court. Still, hearing it confirmed troubles me deeply." Luke watched her thoughtfully. "What should we do?" Alara paused briefly, considering carefully. "For now, remain cautious. We need proof before we act. I will quietly investigate and identify those responsible." Luke nodded, relieved but still worried. "Let me help you. I can't sit idle knowing you might be in danger." Alara smiled gently at his concern, appreciating his loyalty. "All right, Luke, but you must be careful. We cannot alert these conspirators prematurely." Over the following days, Luke discreetly observed palace activities closely. He took notes on who visited whom, noticing subtle interactions that seemed unusual or secretive. Meanwhile, Alara conducted quiet conversations with trusted guards and advisors, collecting her own evidence. One evening, Luke was carefully inspecting a quiet corridor near the gardens when he spotted two shadowy figures speaking quietly in the dim light. Recognizing them as influential members of Alara's court, he hid behind a large decorative statue, listening carefully. "Everything is almost ready," one whispered harshly. "Tomorrow, during the festival, we strike. Alara will be unguarded, distracted by ceremonies." Luke's pulse quickened with fear for Alara. He knew he had to inform her immediately. As the conspirators moved away, he quickly slipped from his hiding spot, heading swiftly toward the princess's chambers. When Luke arrived, he found Alara pacing anxiously. She turned to him immediately, sensing urgency. "You have news," she said sharply. Luke quickly shared what he had overheard. Alara listened carefully, her eyes darkening with worry, but also determination. "We must prepare," she said decisively. "I will reinforce my guard discreetly. Tomorrow, during the festival, we will confront these traitors." Luke hesitated slightly. "Is that wise? What if it becomes dangerous?" Alara's gaze softened slightly, her trust in him clear. "Danger is inevitable, Luke, but facing it openly is our best hope. I will not allow this threat to fester." Understanding her resolve, Luke nodded firmly. "I'll be there with you. You're not alone in this." Gratefulness briefly crossed Alara's face. "Thank you, Luke. Your friendship means more than you know." The next day, the palace buzzed with excitement for the festival. Colorful decorations adorned every hall, and the air was filled with joyous anticipation. But beneath the festivities, Luke and Alara prepared cautiously. Guards loyal to Alara quietly positioned themselves strategically throughout the palace. Luke stood near Alara during the main ceremony, watching the crowd closely. When the conspirators finally moved, their intentions quickly became clear. Several stepped forward, intending to challenge Alara openly, confident she was vulnerable. However, Alara was ready. Her guards swiftly surrounded the conspirators, catching them off guard. A tense silence filled the hall. Alara stepped forward calmly, her voice clear and firm. "You have betrayed my trust and endangered our people. You will be held accountable." Luke watched proudly as Alara confidently faced the danger head-on. He knew their trials were far from over, but together they had confronted the first great challenge and emerged stronger. Luke woke up early the next morning, feeling more rested than he had expected. He stretched out, looking around the elegant chamber Princess Alara had provided for him. Sunlight streamed softly through large windows, lighting up the intricate patterns on the walls and floors. The room felt peaceful, yet Luke still had worries about what lay ahead. He dressed quickly in the clothes left for him, simple, comfortable attire made of soft fabric. Luke had never worn anything like it before, but it fit him well. After washing his face, he stepped outside, cautiously entering a large hallway. The guards standing nearby noticed him, but none made a move to stop him, simply nodding respectfully as he passed. Walking slowly through the halls, Luke marveled at the beauty of the palace. He had never imagined himself being somewhere like this. He paused at an open archway where a breathtaking garden lay before him. Curious, he stepped outside, enjoying the fresh air and the fragrant smell of alien flowers. "You seem well rested," a familiar voice said softly behind him. Luke turned and saw Alara approaching, dressed in a flowing gown that matched the vibrant colors of the garden. Her violet eyes were bright, yet thoughtful. "I am," Luke replied, smiling warmly. "Thank you again for your hospitality." Alara nodded gently, stepping beside him. They walked quietly along a path through the garden. The plants around them glowed softly, their colors shifting subtly in the morning light. "I have been thinking," Alara began, glancing at him briefly. "It is important that my people accept you quickly. Rumors spread fast in my court." Luke nodded, understanding the seriousness of her words. "What should I do to help them trust me?" "Be honest," Alara replied firmly. "I will introduce you formally today. You will explain your arrival clearly. My people respect honesty above all. Luke felt nervous, but he knew Alara was right. I'll do my best, he promised. Alara smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on his arm. I believe you, and I will support you fully. Soon after, Alara led Luke to a large hall where many of her people had gathered. Conversations halted instantly when they saw him entering with the princes. Curious eyes stared openly, whispering softly. Luke felt their gazes keenly, but he remained calm, following Alara to a raised platform at the front of the room. Alara raised her hand gracefully, and silence fell over the crowd. My people, she began clearly, her voice echoing gently throughout the hall. We have an unexpected visitor. His name is Luke Daniels, a human from a distant place called Earth. He arrived by accident through advanced technology his people possess. Murmurs swept through the crowd again, but Alara quickly silenced them with a glance. Luke is here with peaceful intentions. I ask that you welcome him openly and without suspicion. She stepped back, giving Luke a gentle nod. Luke took a deep breath and stepped forward, facing the crowd bravely. Thank you for your kindness, he began carefully, his voice clear and steady. As Princess Alara said, my arrival here was unexpected. My people mean no harm. We explore to learn, to share, and to create friendships. He paused, looking around at the faces watching him closely. I promise you, I am here in peace. If you have questions, I will answer honestly and fully. Immediately, a voice rose from the crowd, strong and sharp. How can we trust your words? Humans are unknown to us. Luke turned calmly toward the speaker, an older alien with narrowed eyes. You have no reason yet to trust me, Luke admitted truthfully. Trust is earned. I only ask for a chance to prove myself through actions. His sincerity seemed to affect the crowd positively, many nodding slowly and thoughtfully. Another voice called out, softer this time. What does your world offer ours? Luke Daniels? Luke smiled gently, appreciating the curiosity behind the question. Knowledge, he replied warmly. We have technology, science, art, and stories to share. And we hope to learn from you as well. Princess Alara stepped forward again, her voice firm but warm. Let us offer Luke Daniels the chance he requests. We have always welcomed strangers who approach us with openness and sincerity. Slowly, respectful murmurs of agreement rose throughout the hall. Luke felt relief and gratitude, turning to Alara with a thankful smile. She returned his gaze, her eyes filled with gentle reassurance. Afterward, as the crowd began to disperse, Alara walked Luke back toward the garden. You did very well, she said approvingly. My people will now watch you closely, but fairly. Luke felt encouraged but remained cautious. I hope I can continue to earn their trust, he replied seriously. Alara paused, her expression growing solemn. I believe you can. But remember, there are those here who may wish to use your presence for their own purposes. Luke swallowed, understanding the warning clearly. He nodded, determined to stay alert. I'll be careful, he promised. Alara's eyes softened as she touched his shoulder lightly. Good, because from now on, your safety and mine are closely connected. Luke sat quietly on a cushioned chair in the corner of the grand room where Princess Alara had placed him. He felt anxious and uncomfortable, wondering how he had managed to get himself into this strange and serious situation. Princess Alara was across the room, speaking softly to a few of her trusted guards who had returned briefly, their voices barely reaching his ears. Finally, Alara dismissed them and turned to Luke, walking gracefully toward him. Her violet eyes were thoughtful, but less harsh now. Luke Daniels, you have caused quite a disturbance, she said softly. Her tone held no anger, only curiosity. I know, Luke admitted, shaking his head slowly. I'm sorry for all this trouble. I'm just a technician. I never meant to cause problems for anyone. Alara sat down near him, folding her hands neatly in her lap. Her gaze was gentle, encouraging him to continue. Tell me about yourself. Who are your people? And why do you travel through space? Luke hesitated briefly, but saw honesty in Alara's eyes. My people, humans, explore space to learn, trade, and make new friends with others. I come from a place called Earth. It's very far from here, Alara nodded, listening closely. And this teleportation device, is it common among your people? Luke smiled faintly, relieved by her interest. It's fairly new technology for us. It's mostly used to move objects short distances within our ships. Accidents like this aren't supposed to happen. Alara raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Yet, it did happen. Perhaps your technology is not as predictable as you believe. Luke chuckled softly, nodding in agreement. You're probably right. But usually, it's safe. I must have made a mistake. She watched him carefully, her expression softening. Mistakes often lead to important discoveries. Perhaps this was not entirely unfortunate. Luke felt his tension easing slightly. I hope you're right, Princess Alara. I never meant to intrude, especially in such a personal moment. Alara's cheeks darkened slightly, a soft shade of lavender crossing her violet skin. That moment was indeed unexpected, she admitted quietly, looking briefly embarrassed. But I understand it was not your intention. There was a gentle knock at the door. Alara sighed softly. Come in, she called. A young servant entered carrying a tray with food and drink, setting it down quietly before retreating respectfully. Alara gestured towards the tray. Please, eat. You must be hungry. Luke hesitated, then gratefully reached for some fruit, tasting it carefully. It was sweet and fresh, unlike anything he'd tasted before. He smiled appreciatively, causing Alara to relax a little more. Your reaction suggests this is new to you, she observed with a small smile. Yes, Luke confirmed, tasting more eagerly now. We have fruit on Earth, but nothing exactly like this. It's wonderful. She watched him eat, her curiosity deepening. Perhaps we have more to learn from each other than we thought. Your arrival may indeed have a purpose. Luke swallowed carefully, thoughtful. Maybe. But how will your people react to someone like me being here? Alara looked serious again. That will depend greatly on how we introduce you. My people value honesty and trust. If they believe your story, they will accept you. Luke nodded thoughtfully, considering her words carefully. I hope they do. I wouldn't want to cause more trouble for you. Trouble finds leaders often enough, Alara replied softly. It is how we manage it that defines us. Luke paused, looking at her carefully. You seem very wise, Princess Alara. She gave a quiet laugh, her eyes sparkling gently. Wisdom often comes from handling unexpected situations. Today seems particularly suited to teaching me something new. For a moment, they both smiled, tension finally easing between them. Alara stood again, walking slowly to a large window that showed the beautiful alien city sprawling out beneath a glowing sky. Luke rose and joined her, gazing out at the strange yet stunning view. Towers made of crystal rose elegantly towards the sky, sparkling gently in the fading sunlight. He marveled at the beauty before him, speechless for a moment. Your home is beautiful, Luke finally whispered sincerely. Alara nodded quietly, eyes distant but thoughtful. It is. And yet, even a place as beautiful as this holds secrets and challenges. You arriving here may expose some of those. Luke turned towards her, concerned. What do you mean? She looked up at him, her expression serious. You are not the first stranger to come unexpectedly, but your timing is peculiar. There are whispers in my court, and not all can be trusted. Luke swallowed nervously, feeling the weight of her words. You think my appearance might be connected to something bigger? Alara's eyes met his with clear resolve. It is possible. And if so, we must both be cautious. You, Luke Daniels, might become part of something much larger than you imagined. Luke took a deep breath, understanding that his simple life had suddenly become far more complicated and important than he had ever dreamed. Luke Daniels wiped the sweat off his forehead and sighed deeply. The starship Aurora had been traveling for months through deep space, and as one of its junior technicians, his daily tasks felt repetitive and dull. He stretched, hearing his joints, popped slightly, and turned back to the faulty teleportation device in front of him. "Come on, just work," Luke muttered quietly to himself, pulling gently at the wires and checking the circuits once again. He knew very well how delicate this equipment was, but today the machine seemed particularly stubborn. The small room around him was quiet, except for the faint humming of the ship's engines in the background. After several long minutes of careful adjustments, Luke finally reconnected the last wire. He stepped back, hopeful. Carefully, he pressed a button, initiating a test sequence. The machine hummed softly, lights flickering gently across the surface. Luke allowed himself a small smile, believing he had solved the problem. But suddenly, the humming grew louder, and the lights began flashing erratically. Luke's smile quickly vanished. No, he mumbled, rushing forward to shut it off. Before he could react, a blinding flash filled the room, and he felt himself pulled through space itself. When Luke opened his eyes, he was no longer in the Aurora's repair room. Instead, he found himself in an elegantly decorated chamber, lit softly with glowing crystals along the walls. Rich fabrics draped over furniture, and ornate patterns covered the floor beneath him. He blinked rapidly, confused and disoriented as Luke turned to better understand his surroundings. His heart nearly stopped. Standing just a few feet away, completely nude and with her violet skin shimmering under the soft light, stood an alien woman of extraordinary beauty. Her eyes, wide and startled, locked onto his with an expression of shock and disbelief. For a moment, neither moved nor spoke. Luke felt heat rush to his cheeks as embarrassment overtook his confusion. He quickly averted his eyes, raising his hands apologetically. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," he stammered, trying to find the right words. The alien woman, clearly the princess, given the elegance of the room and the crown resting on a nearby stand, quickly grabbed a silky robe and wrapped it around herself, eyes never leaving Luke. Her initial shock slowly turned into curiosity, but also suspicion. "Who are you, and how did you enter this place?" she demanded, her voice firm yet melodic. "I am Luke Daniels," he replied, still averting his eyes. "I was repairing a teleportation device, and something went wrong. It sent me here by accident." The princess stepped forward, now fully covered by the robe. Her violet eyes narrowed slightly, studying him closely. "A teleportation accident? Do your people often appear uninvited in others' private chambers?" "No, of course not," Luke said quickly, shaking his head earnestly. "It was a complete mistake. I promise you, this wasn't intentional." The alien princess hesitated, her expression softening just slightly as she seemed to sense Luke's genuine embarrassment. Yet her posture remained regal, showing her authority. "Clearly, my name is Alara," she finally said, still wary but now speaking with less hostility. "Princess Alara, you have appeared within the palace of my ancestors, an act that is considered very serious, regardless of your intentions." Luke swallowed hard, realizing just how deeply in trouble he could be. "I assure you, Princess Alara, I have nothing but respect for you and your people. This was entirely unintended." Before Alara could respond, a heavy knocking echoed at the chamber doors. Voices shouted urgently from the other side. "Princess Alara, are you all right?" We detected an energy surge. Luke glanced at Alara in panic. She sighed, seemingly weighing her options swiftly. "Stay where you are," she instructed him sharply, turning toward the door. "Do not move or speak." Alara straightened her robe and approached the door calmly. As it opened, several guards entered swiftly, weapons drawn. They immediately noticed Luke and aimed their weapons toward him. "Lower your weapons," Alara commanded, her voice steady. "He is not a threat, merely an unexpected guest." The guards looked uncertain but obeyed. Alara turned back toward Luke, her expression thoughtful. "I will decide what to do with him. 4. Now, he remains in my custody." The guards reluctantly stepped back, their faces showing confusion but obedience. Once they exited, leaving the two alone again, Alara regarded Luke carefully. "I hope you understand the situation you have put me in. I'm truly sorry," Luke said sincerely, his heart pounding. "If there is anything I can do to make this right, please let me know." Alara studied him a moment longer, then gave a slight nod. "Very well, Luke Daniels. For now, you will remain close. Perhaps you can explain more about this teleportation of yours." Luke exhaled slowly, nodding with relief and gratitude. He knew that this strange encounter was only the beginning of something far more complicated than he ever imagined.